Do you ever feel like your own thoughts are kind of holding you captive? It's a bit like your brain is a relentless hamster wheel spinning you into a spiral of what ifs, maybes, should haves, and all of these things going on. And if you're tired of that constant mental noise and crave a sense of peace, then this video is for you. So we're going to go into the struggle of overthinking. And if you don't know me, I'm Mercedes. I have ADHD and I'm a chronic overthinker. And I'm going to share you some of my experience and things that will help me and hopefully will help you. So when we're thinking about overthinking, okay, so that's an interesting one to go into. It's kind of a bit more beyond worrying, but you might be thinking about missed opportunities, having sleepless nights because of spiraling thoughts, worrying about social anxieties. For me, it can be replaying conversations over and over again that I've had with somebody, or that things I wish I'd said that I never said, and that I go over it again and again and again and try and replay it in my brain. And again, say with social media, I will replay discussions that are going there, things that people are saying and thinking, and analysing that in my brain. I also do, I get into really overthinking things like the state of the economy, what could be done to help, and I try and find massive solutions, and my brain is constantly trying to find the solutions and analysing, overthinking this and overthinking that and thinking about this, and it's on a constant loop. And this overthinking, it's beyond worrying. Sometimes I'm not even worried about it, I'm just thinking about it. I'm just stuck in that loop. And it's this kind of analysis, though, it's over analysis, it actually steals our peace because we're overthinking stuff when we could be just letting it drop, but we're not, because it's stuck in our brain. And if you are neurodivergent like me, it's really common to get in that state, and if you're not, you can still get in that state. So it's not like, if you're neurodivergent you get this, and if you're not, you don't. The overthinking is something that anybody can suffer from, and it's just becoming aware of it when it happens. And often there are positive intentions behind this overthinking, so you're trying to problem solve, be prepared, but you get stuck in that loop, so you're not actually doing anything because you're just thinking about it. So that's where it becomes a bit of a problem. And there are lots of things that can trigger overthinking. You could just be an overthinker in general. I remember once someone actually saying to me, "Why do you analyze everything so much?" It's like, I don't know, I just do. So you could just be an overthinker, an analyzer. But you could be triggered by social media through discussions, arguments, or even comparison that can start to trigger that. Future uncertainties, because, we're coming towards the end of the year. So you might be thinking about what next year is going to bring, what's going to happen, and all of these things. You might be going over future events like relationships and conversations, and all of these things can bring up overthinking. And like I said, the state of the economy for me brings up quite a lot. And basically, it's your brain's attempt at control. So it can be fueled by perfectionism. And as someone who is a recovering perfectionist, that's definitely part of it. And there can be fear of failure involved in there. Or it can just be that things are playing on your mind and you are worrying about things, and then you're overthinking it and you're overanalyzing it and you're trying to get it right and you're trying to fix it. You're trying to solve the world. I mean, for me, sometimes it's trying to solve the world's problems in my own head, which is kind of a bit of a pointless, it's like a futile exercise, but it's something that I tend to do. But the invisible toll of this is essentially you're suffering stress, and that stress gets held in the body because your brain is worrying and it starts to hold. You get more rigid sensations. I've got bad shoulder, and I get that when I get really stressed, and my neck and my shoulder get really tense, and that all starts to happen. And you can get fatigue because you're actually tiring. That overthinking is tiring. So you can go through that as well. You can actually miss the moments that you're in because you're too busy thinking about stuff. I will say that I'm so much better at this now than I was. When I was younger, I was unbelievably bad at overthinking, in the sense that it would steal my life. My life would be stolen by thinking. Now occasionally I get stuck in loops, but I can get myself out of it. But when I was younger, before I knew any of these techniques, I would get stuck in overthinking for ages and I would lose huge parts of my life. So it's not just the best thing to do. So what I want to do is give you some techniques and tools that you can use, one for the long term and two for in the moment. So when you're overthinking, what you can use in that moment and what you can use to kind of prevent overthinking going forward. So our in the moment techniques. Let's do those. The first thing is the thought dump technique. So this is basically where you externalize your internal dialogue to get a bit more perspective. So you just get a bit of paper out and write down whatever comes to mind, everything that just like, it's like essentially like a journal entry, and you're just getting it out. And sometimes that activity in and of itself can take you to a calmer state of mind. But once you've done that, once you've written that down, you can actually then bring some mindfulness anchors in. So these are practical exercises that will bring you back to the present moment. So you've done the brain dump, now you want to come back to the present. And that might be something as simple as becoming aware of your breath. So just stopping, pausing, and noticing your breath going in and out. And really focusing on that. You can count the breath if that's easier, and just becoming aware of it. Or you might want to do a body scan. So scan through your body from the crown of your head to the tips of your toes, and just notice, stop on each part. So stop on the face, neck, shoulders, arms and hands, chest, belly, all down the back, hips, legs, feet and toes. And just tune into each part bit by bit and notice what's there. No judgment, just noticing what's there. That can make a difference. And then obviously there's reorienting as well. So just becoming aware of what's in your space. So you might want to notice 5 things you can see in your room. So just look around, notice 5 things you can see. And then notice 4 things you can touch. Ideally make them different textures, because then you can sort of tune into those physical sensations. And then listen for 3 things you can hear in your room. And then 2 things you can smell, and 1 you can taste. So go through those steps. It brings you right back into the present moment, to the here and now. So those are steps that after you've done your thought dump that can bring you back. And then you can use the what can I control filter. So this is really important. So this shifts your focus from hypothetical analysing and worrying to actionable steps. So what can I actually do about this right now? So I'll give you an example. When I was younger, I used to, if I was had a social situation, particularly if I was going on a date, I would very much overanalyze how that would go, the conversations that I would have, what I would say, how I would say it. I'd have to like rehearse it again and again and again and again in my head. Until I got to the point when I realised, hang on a minute, I've spent ages rehearsing these things, but then when I turn up, real life, I can't simulate real life in my brain because I don't know how things are going to go. And I'm always having to like figure it out as I'm going. So I said to myself, well, if you can't control that, you don't actually know what's going to happen. There's no point in figuring out how you're going to deal with that situation before it happens. So just go with the flow. And once I started to switch that, then I stopped overanalyzing those situations and just went with what happened. And so that question can be really vital, asking yourself, what can I control? So those are techniques that you can use when you're in the moment of over-analysing. So when you're really kind of like getting into the, you're really stuck in your thoughts. Okay, so those are things you can use that. But then we can have like long-term strategies that are going to help you long-term to not over-analyse, so you don't get stuck in the loop in the first place. And the first one could be setting boundaries. So this could be with technology, for example. So you would then have digital detoxes and intentional screen time. So you're not just scrolling mindlessly. So you don't allow yourself to scroll mindlessly. So I know some people, when they go on to say Facebook, they will only go to specific groups or pages that they follow, so they don't have to see any content they don't want to see. And it's about being intentional with that. So setting those boundaries with yourself and sticking to them. And that's long term, because then stop you getting into that loop. And then it's about cultivating your own self-compassion. So talking to yourself like you would a friend rather than a critic, because we tend to get worse with ourselves than anybody else. So when we hear ourselves over-analysing, going over things over and over and over again, we can actually start to say to ourselves, you don't need to know the answer to this. Like you would to a friend. If a friend was stuck in a loop talking to you about the same thing, you would say to them, you're worrying about something that you can't actually control. And you start to give yourself that compassion and understand that, it's okay to overthink, because I may overthink things, but then offering yourself a kind solution. And then it's starting to embrace imperfection. And this helped me significantly with overthinking. When I stopped having to be perfect and I started to understand that just being good enough is okay. it's very easy to kind of worry about the things we've done, the things we're going to do, to make sure we get it right and make sure we can fix the things we haven't got right and get things right. And it's all about getting it right, getting it right. And when you can accept that you're not always going to get it right, that you're going to do all right, it's going to be okay. It might not be perfect, but it's going to be okay. And if it's not, you fix it. And it starts to change your mentality. So then you stop overthinking these things. So these are more long-term strategies that you can kind of cultivate over time. So setting your boundaries with technology, cultivating self-compassion, and embracing imperfection, and doing those things to allow yourself that kind of peace. So just remembering that decisive action and small steps will allow you to break the overthinking cycle. So it's that decision. Am I going to break this overthinking cycle? And am I going to do these small things, these small tasks that I can bring into my life that are going to start to shift that pattern? And starting to notice when you've made progress. And again, not trying to do this perfectly. So like I would say to you that I still have a tendency to overthink sometimes, but not always. And not as much as I used to. And I can catch it now. I'm aware of it. When I start overthinking, I can catch it and I can bring myself out of it. So starting to celebrate, if you are a chronic overthinker, even if you just reduce it a little bit, being aware of that and celebrating that. So you recognize that you're making progress and not expecting yourself to go from overthinking to not overthinking anything ever again overnight, 'cause it's not going to happen. And just know that if you're on that right path, that's okay. So that's hopefully been useful for you. I would love you to share your own experiences with this and your favourite strategies in the comments. So drop them down and we can discuss. And if you've enjoyed this video, remember to like and subscribe it. And if you would like to connect further, have more practices, and have a wonderful supportive community around you to help with this problem, then I will put the link to my free group on school, The Sacred Pause, and you can come and join us. And I'll see you soon.